Welcome to the Fire Emblem Gauntlet. In each episode of this new series, we will be taking a different beloved character and putting them through their paces, facing off against every class in the game one by one until they perish. As the series goes on, we will then compile the results from these different characters and see how they perform compared to each other. Today's champion is Roy, the main lord of FE6, so let's see how he does in the Gauntlet. I put this map together, which is made up of a series of rooms, each containing progressively harder enemy classes. In order to put the classes in order based on their difficulty, I made a tournament of all the GBA classes, and the video did super well, even though I kind of made it on a whim. There were so many comments asking for a sequel to that video, which I will definitely do, but for now this is the results table we got, so this is the order that the classes have been placed into the map. Obviously this is a rough order, and different units will find different matchups easier or harder than others, but this is an approximate order of difficulty. Every unit in this gauntlet, including our champion, has been set to level 20 unpromoted, although I did add a couple of levels of hard mode bonuses to the enemies just to make them a little bit stronger. All units have standard iron weapons, and the champion has been given 2 vulneries, which I will have to use strategically as they're the only healing that I will be getting in the run. The challenge is to see how many of the 16 enemy classes Roy can beat before he is killed, and this performance can be a benchmark that we can compare all future champions in this series against. Obviously this is just for fun, it's not meant to be a serious assessment of how good a unit is. In FE6, Roy is the only unit that can seize thrones, and he has unique access to the rapier and the binding blade, and those things won't come into play here. It is just a fun little challenge, don't take it seriously. Leave a comment below with a prediction of how many of the 16 enemy classes you think Roy will beat before he dies, as well as a suggestion on what characters you most want to see in future videos in this series. You can choose any character from Fire Emblem 6, 7 or 8. For the first few videos I will be sticking to player units, but at some point I'll expand it out to use enemy characters and maybe even non-GBA games. I could port in Crom from Awakening, for example. But for now we're starting with good old Roy, who for some reason doesn't quite start out at level 20. He's 1 XP short. I don't know why FE Builder does this, so let's get him to level up real quick. We'll come fight this thief, who isn't exactly scary. There's a reason that they're the lowest rated of all of the classes that I've tried. Let's see what his 20th level up brings him. HP, skill, speed, luck and res, that's pretty good. So now he's maxed out, let's take a quick look at his stats. We can see that at level 20 unpromoted, he's got 32 HP, 13 strength, 18 skill, 16 speed, 18 luck, 12 defense and 7 res. This is pretty good really. He's very fast and got very high luck, so he should be relatively dodgy and should double quite a lot. His strength and defense are pretty decent as well, although having swords as his weapon type means that he doesn't have that much actual attack damage, but he should do pretty well here, I'm predicting. Next up we've got the soldier, and then after that we're going to be going archer, peg and so on and so on. The units here are in order from the class tournaments that I did, with 2 exceptions. The first is the nomad. I actually forgot to include nomad in that video. They are not in the sacred stones at all. They're not actually coded into the game. They have no data, and I forgot about it during that last video, but I have ported them in for the gauntlet here, and I've put them roughly where I think they are in terms of difficulty. We are roughly in the middle. And then the second exception is the Armor Knight. The Armor Knights didn't perform brilliantly in the tournament. There's a lot of units that just demolished them, but there's also a lot of units that cannot do damage to an Armor Knight at all. Their defense is just so stupidly high. And rather than having them quite early in the order in the gauntlet and ending loads of runs prematurely for a lot of characters, I decided to put them nearer the end just to avoid that issue. There's also a special extra class that I have included in here, but we'll take a proper look at that when we actually get a character that can get to the end of the gauntlet and it becomes relevant, I suppose. So the soldier isn't really going to cause much difficulty for him. He actually dodged the first attack, which is wonderful, and then I really need to increase the speed of the game. This is too slow. The soldier doesn't exactly perform very well either. Roy, he takes some damage, but he's able to take the win very, very easily. I can heal up the 10 damage he took with a vulnerary. Obviously we've got limited uses of these vulneraries, so we have to be kind of careful about how we use them, but they should get you through most of the run, hopefully. And then I've also got this special door key, which I've given 20 uses just because trying to get through all these doors, yeah, that's the easiest option really. It's just to give door keys more uses. I'm not going to give him 20 separate door keys in his inventory, it's just pointless. So yeah, here we've got the archer who missed his attack. I did say that Roy should be fairly dodgy. Having high speed and very high luck means that most of the enemies are going to have relatively low hit. He took 7 damage there, but for the most part he's going to be able to dodge a reasonable amount of the enemies and hopefully do quite well. And with him doubling, he's kind of hitting nice thresholds where he's able to sort of 2-round a lot of the enemies. He's not having to face too many turns of combat. Pegasus Knight, a little bit nastier. They've got weapon triangle obviously on him, but still only 7 damage. It's not really much to worry about, and again he is going to double this enemy quite easily. Pegasus Knights, they are slowed down by Iron Lance. That's another thing I actually did here, is I gave all of the iron weapons 99 uses, because otherwise your champion is going to break weapons going through this. There's too many rounds of combat. So he kills the Pegasus, and then we can move on to the Monk. The Monk is an interesting class where they have got the they've got the ability to attack at 2 range, and in theory they're quite a good class, but they just look at the stats. 3 damage, that's pretty rubbish really. There's a reason that they performed really badly in the video, and it's just because they just can't do damage really. They just don't have enough might. Lightning already kind of sucks with its 4 might, I want to say. Let me check. Yeah, 4 might. I know my Fire Emblem. Yeah, 4 might for that. Roy is actually getting quite low on health. I do need to heal him up now. But these vulnerary uses are only going to last so long, so we'll give him a... We'll use up both uses of this vulnerary right here. So again, Nomads are actually quite a fast class, but they are still, Roy is still quick enough to be able to double them. And 5 damage isn't really too much to worry about. So they're definitely better than archers by quite a considerable margin, but they're still not great really. Roy's going to kill him here. I think most of the enemies here he is killing in like 2 rounds of combat, which is quite nice. These 3 axe units in a row with the Brigand, the Pirate and the Fighter, they all perform very, very similarly, and they are one of the best classes that Roy has a matchup against, just because of how inaccurate they are, how dodgy he is. He's just not really going to struggle against these. He might take 1 hit at some point against these 3 enemies, but it's not really going to cause much of an issue. I am going to speed up here. As much as I hate speeding up the audio, it's just too slow for my liking. I'm a very impatient Fire Emblem player. I normally play on fast forward in this. That is one thing I've actually didn't mention. I have put a droppable steel sword halfway through, just to give him a little bit more utility. As the enemies start to get harder. That is purely because there's some enemies that have got really high defense. I'm not even going to use it here. I don't actually care. It doesn't make a difference to how many hits it takes him to kill. It is mainly just because the next unit, or not quite the next unit, but soon we have got the Armor Knight, and yeah, he's just not going to do any damage to him otherwise. I don't even think he's going to get past the Armor Knight. I don't think we've got enough vulnerary uses to get there. Yeah, no, I think I think his days are numbered right here. So we'll get to this point. Cavalry is gonna Cavalier. Jesus Christ, my brain is not working today. Cavalier is gonna do quite a number on Roy. He's gonna take quite a bit of damage, and I think we're gonna win. Yeah, we're definitely gonna win the fight, but I might as well go for the steel sword. Yeah, whatever. Roy wins that fight, but he doesn't have enough uses of the vulnerary left, so he's gonna heal up to 20, but then he's gonna have to take an Armor Knight on with nowhere near enough. So yeah, look, 0 damage. I just thought that was a bit stupid, so I did give him a steel sword. And it's not actually going to make a difference because he's still going to lose. He did dodge that, which is pretty nice. If he gets unbelievably lucky, he could technically win the fight if he gets some, a lot of dodges, maybe a crit or 2, but, it's not going to happen. There's no way. It's just too bad of a matchup for him, unfortunately. Oh, good dodge. You never know. It's on the cards. Come on, Roy. Let's see. Yeah, he needs 2 dodges here for this to be possible, but no, there we go. So that does bring us to the end of Roy's gauntlet run. He managed to kill, I don't actually know how many units he managed to kill. 11. He killed 11 of the 16 enemies, which is pretty good going, to be honest. He's from FE6, which is a game that has much lower growth rates. I'll put his growth rates up on the screen here, but I'm pretty sure the growth rate totals are considerably lower in FE6, and a little bit higher in FE7, and then a little bit higher in FE8. So if we're trying to use units from all 3 of the GBA games in this series, there will probably be a bit of a trend for the FE8 games, the FE8 units doing quite a lot better than the FE6 ones, but that's a part of it, so we'll see how they do. It is a shame that he couldn't get past the Armor Knight, but I think that was quite a, there wasn't really another enemy that he had that he could kill without having more healing going into it. The vulneraries aren't meant to get you all the way to the end, no matter how weak of a unit you are. They are meant to be a little bit of a helping hand. I do think 2 vulneraries is a good amount. I am open to tweaking the way that this works, tweaking like weapons, vulneraries, enemy orders, I don't know, as it goes on. So, feel free to give me some suggestions. But I think that I've managed to get it to a point where it kind of works. We'll see how it goes with future classes, but I did trial it out with a couple of different units, and I think that it is fairly balanced. But anyway, Roy got 11 out of 16, which will go on our table here, and in the future videos in the series we'll put other units through the gauntlet and add them to the table, and then we can see how they compare. If you have made it this far and you haven't already left a comment with what Fire Emblem characters you want to see run the gauntlet next, please do. I'm really curious to see what people suggest. The Sacred Stones with 1 HP series is still continuing. I just wanted to mix it up a bit and start another series that I could run alongside it. So keep your eyes open for new videos in both of those series, and I'll see you in the next video.